All right, what is going on, boss traders? This is Alex here from Boss Crypto. If you guys want access, as always, to our exclusive trading academy, we've opened up a limited amount of seats again, completely free for 30 days. Just head over to bosscrypto.co or click the link in the description. Get access to our free trial today. I'll see you guys there and enjoy the video. So I know it's been a little while since I've updated you guys over on the YouTube side of things. I was pretty busy around the holiday season in my personal life, but also just pretty busy in the chat, trading around stuff. So I want to review what we've done since my last video. I think my last video was sometime in December, I think when we were at the lows for BTC. I just want to do a top down, give you guys a directional analysis on Bitcoin, talk about my current altcoin positions, and also about what we've really been doing the last month in Boss Crypto. All right, so we'll get right into things with the top down on BTC here. All right, so from a price action standpoint, we are still making lower highs on the monthly on a closing basis. So until we take out, looks like 77.50 on a closing basis on the monthly, Bitcoin's still in an intermediate term downtrend, right? Now, as we all know by now, of course, on lower time frame and on the monthly already, we do have a bullish engulfing forming, which is a higher high above 77.50, but we still got about 10 days until that closes. So if it closes as such, anything above like 8,000, I would consider this uptrend back on for Bitcoin. I'm talking about this uptrend, right? And then I'm not going to personally consider things fully bullish, like balls to the walls, buy everything out the ass until we're back above 10,500. That was our retrace to the 8 on the monthly. That was where that crazy bounce was off 7,400 up to like 10,000 in 2 days, if you guys remember that. That was the lower high made by that, right in front of the last lower high. So if we don't break that, I still think there's a chance we roll over another lower high. I don't want to be like giga bearish or anything, and I'm not really like, I'm not trading this yet because it's just kind of speculation. But until we can clear 10,500, at least on a daily close, then I will not consider this completely over yet. But personal opinion, I think the consolidation is over, and we've started the slow grind up into Bitcoin halving in April. We can see on the monthly, our cycles come down a lot since we originally broke 9,000 and that crossed down. And we've been making lower highs and lower lows ever since until we broke above 8,000 in December. So we'll go ahead and zoom in and talk about that some more. All in all, on the monthly chart, things look really good. You held the bullish 30 EMA, which a strong bull trend will only hold at the 8. As we can see, this entire bull market, the last one, we didn't break the 8 a single time. Unlike this bull market, already completely different, we've already broken the 8 with this last consolidation, which is not the end-all be-all. It just means these are different markets, right? This was the strongest bull trend we've ever seen, and it didn't even break the 8. If you do break the 8, price cycles to the 30 and or the 60 EMA. And so far, we've held at the 30 perfectly, to the exact dollar pretty much. So that's called a 30 halt. And that looks really bullish as long as we can close back above, around 8,000. That would take us back above our 8 EMA as well. So we'll revisit this next week at the end of the month and see how the monthly looks then. But for now, we can go ahead and zoom in to the weekly, see what we got going on in here. So, depending on how you draw this trend line, for a while, you were still not out of the woods. But even if you take the top to the very most extreme edge right here, we've now closed outside that downtrend line. The one that looks like that. Oops. I don't know how that happened. We are actually officially out of this consolidation phase on the weekly. And that doesn't mean, it's just a line I put on the chart. It doesn't mean it can't go back into that level. But there's no one out there who can draw a line now that makes this look like we are still consolidating without curving it. So to me, that shows that this uptrend is stronger than this one. Another thing I want to point out, the big dump candle that took us to the bottom of this move never got closed above. Versus this candle that took us to the bottom of the move, we just closed above it. After failing to close, look how this candle respects it to the T, right to the high, and it wicks to it. So I figure this level is being respected a lot. So closing above it does not seem like bullshit to me. It seems like a really strong uptrend. Again, this is the lower high I need to see broken until I am like, we're full bull, we're going to 20K, that kind of stuff. Until then, people don't want to hear it, but you could technically come all the way up to this lower high and then roll over. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't, but, we're not here to trade what I think. I just want to tell you the facts of the matter. And the facts of the matter are, when we broke out from here, we had an uptrend. And when we made another higher high, you'll see on the lower time frame, we came up to here, and we made a higher low, and then we made another higher high on this candle. That is a really strong uptrend now. Dips are for buying. Now, what have we been doing in Boss Crypto? Well, I signaled a long for my entire account. So I'm basically 100% long Bitcoin from right here. From this 1 hour bullish engulfing at 66.50, I signaled along in the Boss Crypto chat, all in Bitcoin here, 66.50. Albeit, I pretty much shorted the lows. I shorted somewhere up here. And so big picture, that was shorting the low. But we covered into the low, and then I went 100% long after we did this. We wicked down below. We made a new low. There was no follow through on the low. So once we wicked back up and closed engulfing, I was just like, no bullshit. I'm all in right now. And so how are the boss traders that followed that one doing? Well, after this nasty drop today, still sitting up over 30% USD gains. So, yeah, that pretty much pays your entire year of Boss Crypto in one trade right there. Now, albeit, if you're just trying to gain BTC value, it ain't do much for you, but I know a lot of people are in this for dollars and for fiat. So that was probably one of the best signals we've ever given. My partner, Tom, the most patient trader I've ever met, he's still fully long his account from back here on the engulfing down there. And he bought there, he did nothing, and he sold some up here. I mean, that's pretty much goals. If you don't got a goal, that's my goal. And so I'm trying to play similar to that, where I'm fully long from down here. And again, if you're trying to make just dollars, you got to be taking profits on this new high here, on the push to the 200. Like, if you're just in for dollars, you take profits into new highs. Ain't nobody get poor taking profits. And then when you get a dump like this, that's your chance to add back. You can see on the daily, we're back at the 8. Good chance Bitcoin just holds here and rips higher. But if we're lucky, we'll get a pullback even further back to these range highs, back to this support from the breakout, and back to our EMA support on the daily. All of that lining up around low 8,000s. So, guys, if we get a dip to low 8,000s, in my opinion, that's the one to nail. And it doesn't mean we can't go 7,700 or something, but any dip down to here, you want to be a buyer, if you ask me. If you think this is just going to roll over like this again, well, that's on you. I don't think that, and so I'm not going to play it like that until we really break down below these levels. And then I'm happy hedging short. But for now, either you're shorting up here with a loose stop, either you fade the next move short, again with a loose stop, or you don't short until we break these levels. That's pretty much my attitude about shorting right now. If you're long from anywhere down here, you want to take some profits, but you want to remain core long because this uptrend is strong right now. If this is just a bounce like this inside of a big picture downtrend, then you want to fade the rally, which is why you take profits. But if this is just a deviation inside of a long-term bull market, you don't really want to be heavy short here on what could have been the last dip, So definitely keep some core long as long as this uptrend is intact and take some profits when we make new highs, guys, right? Or at least have a trailing stop loss of some sort. All in all, it looks really good. I'm not surprised in the slightest to see price got rejected at the 200 here, tried to hold support in here, failed, and now we got rejected here. Again, that's not surprising whatsoever. But what is kind of intriguing is while we're getting rejected from the 200 on spot markets, we're actually holding the 200 on futures. You can see we got rejected. The first big tap of price when it broke out of the bear market was the 200 on futures. It was also the low right before one of the craziest moves we've ever seen on Bitcoin in 2 days. And now it was resistance here, the first move out of this little intermediate term downtrend. And we're trying to hold it support again. And that's why I'm saying I think there's potential to low is in again on BTC in a short term. Now, it's not guaranteed. We'll go ahead and zoom in one time to the 4 hour. I just want to point out how this works, guys. On the daily, a strong trend will hold the 8, which is this blue line right here. If it fails there, it's going to either retest the 30, which is this purple one, and the 60, which is white, or it's going to retest, I should say, or it'll retest these horizontal price pivots we've made here on the 4 hour. So all in all, you got all kinds of support here. If we look at our EMAs on the 4 hour, you can see this is our visual for holding the daily 8. Like I said, a strong trend holds here at the 8, just like we did back here. I mean, this was another time I came in the Boss Crypto chat and I was saying after this candle, guys, I think the Bitcoin higher low is in. We had the bullish engulfing right off the 60 on the right-hand side of our cycle. You know, if the cycle was back here or something, maybe I'd be a little more hesitant. But the cycle, you know, not only did it catch the highs, you know, you catch the high with that cross down up here, but it also catches the low. You get the cross, you get the setup, you nail it. And that was that. And it's the same thing here. If we can reclaim this 8 and close above, you know, really, technically the level is this candle high at 87.50. If you close above there, then you can cycle back to, you know, you got a couple $100 to cycle back to this high. And that'll be the big test. Either BTC is, you know, you could probably draw a rising wedge or something in there. However you draw it, I don't know. Either we're going to retest that level and then go lower and complete this kind of ABC move down or whatever it is. And we're going to go test these horizontal price pivots. One of those 3 right there, along with we've got our EMAs on the 4 hour. We've got all of our daily EMAs in here. We've got the bullish 8 on the weekly is at 81.20. And on the monthly, we've got the 8 also at 8,000. So the point is every support we could have is in that 8,000 to 8,200 region. So if we don't hold at the 4 hour 60 here, which is right around 85.50, you can see we ran all the stops from this level, all of them, and we retested this high. And so this is a perfect place to hold and continue. So if you're flat, especially, I want to be long here. I want to be core long. If it doesn't mean go super heavy, but if you're flat, like you don't own Bitcoin, you want to have some exposure to longs here. And then, you know, whether you put a stop below the low or you just buy a little bit so you don't need a tight stop and then you add more if we go down deeper. You know, it's up to you how you want to play it. You can play it how Boss Crypto does, or you can just play it how you personally want to play it. But I want to be long in here, and I really want to be long down here. So like I said, my whole account is long Bitcoin, but I will open a margin long to increase that if we get back down to these $8,000 levels, even like 8,200. So that's the game plan for Boss. We want to be adding longs on the dip, out the ass. It's not full-blown bull market until we're above 10.5, but this is, you know, a very strong uptrend. So I think the next move, I don't personally think we're going to hold 85.50, but again, trading is not about what we think, but I do want to put my thoughts out there. I think we're either going to get a little bounce and roll over, or we're just going to nuke it right out and go test the $8,000, $8,200 level. So that's what I think is going to happen. But like I said, don't trade off what I think. Trade off what is. And so far, there's still bullish price action here. So That's all I'll say on Bitcoin. Now we're going to talk about my alt trades recently because I think a lot of the money to be made is going to be in alts and already has been. So we'll go ahead and get into that. I'm long Tezos. Now, guys, this is something you're not going to see anywhere out there except for Boss Crypto and my mentors group who I learned this from. The low on Tezos was pi. Okay, and that's our red moving average here. It's a 314 period moving average, which is pi 3.14 times 100. Look at that perfect hold. Nobody has that on their charts. And that's not like, that everyone's got the 200. Everyone's got that. So naturally, you get a reaction at a price from it quite often because so many people are trading around it. But pi, there's less than 10 people out there, I bet, with this on their charts. Less than 5 probably they even know about Tezos. And that's my signal to long. We got to bounce off pi. I mean, if you look at the I'm going to mark it on the 4 hour. If you look at the 4 hour, I don't know about you guys, but to me, this looked horrendous, right? Like it just looks terrible. Like, I don't know. I didn't have any reason to long this other than the fact that, Tezos is in a bull market. This was a huge move up. When you retrace about halfway, I like to add. Because a strong, if we go look at a monthly, for example, for Tezos, not to deviate too much from the lower time frame, but if this bullish wall is going to hold, then it'll hold right about halfway. And that's pretty much exactly what we saw on the monthly. Held right about halfway. It held right at the monthly 8. And this is one thing I love about our fractal trading model is you have things holding on all different timelines or all different time frames at the same place. So we've got the 8 on the monthly. Let's point out the direction of that 8. It's rising. So our long-term trend is now up. And price action is respecting that location. Let's look at the weekly. This also lines up with a hold of the 60 and the 30 on the weekly, which again, a strong trend is going to hold at the 8, the 30, or the 60. So this was pretty much the last chance for Tezos to hold, or else it was probably just going to, it was pretty much going to be back in the trading range from the bear market it was in. So you've got the SR flip. You've got a hold of the monthly 8. You've got a hold of the weekly bands. You've got a ton of time where since the cycle high, and guess what, guys? If you aren't in Boss Crypto, we sold all our Tezos up here, completely out, because we have good trailing stop methods. And we recognize this was probably the cycle high. So we saved us, 50% drawdown or something, 40%. We saved us all that, and then we bought the low. The cycle is still coming down, so we want to point that out, and that we don't have a bullish engulfing yet from a closing standpoint, but we are making a higher high on lower time frames. So things look really good for Tezos. I want to see a weekly close before I'm willing to be like, yeah, it's definitely back on, because the cycle's contrarian. But that's really it, On the daily, we've got just, oh man, that's just beautiful. Like I said, when we come to pi, because when you're buying something like this, guys, there's not really a good place for me to stop. I don't want to put my stop right below pi because you could test it. I would like to do a closing basis stop. So if we close below pi, then I'll exit. But it means, I can't calculate my risk for 1450 because I can't calculate X% of my risk if I stop there if I'm waiting for a daily close. Because what happens if it closes like this, Well, then if my 1% risk was here, well, I'm taking 1%, 2%, 3%. That's a 4% risk. So how I did it is I bought some here, and I had a closing stop below 14, but if we got all the way down to below 14, I was going to cut it with a hard stop. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom into the 4 hour. So basically I bought half my size right in here on that daily bounce off pi. And then I was telling the team, when we break out from this falling wedge, I'm going to take away the bands for a second just so we can more clearly see this. When you break out from this falling wedge, I'm going to buy the rest. And I did that. I bought half my size in here, half my size on this candle breakout. And my average is right around 1620. So pretty much right at the higher low. So if we take this out, I take a very small loss, which, again, if we get a little bit higher today, I'm going to take some profits so that I will not be at a loss no matter what. I'm basically bringing Tezos to a break even for me. And then I just get to trail this. You know, if this is the higher low off pi, I mean, I'm not selling any until like at least 20K sats, but ideally I'd like to sell most of mine back up at the high again. So yeah, that's one of our best trades so far. I'm only up like 1% of my account right now, but I think it's best trade for the potential it has if this is a long-term breakout. You know, check this, guys. We did not have a bullish engulfing close on Tezos since here. And look at, in this uptrend, this was the last one, this one, this one, and this one. Look, every single bullish engulfing led to a new high. And if we follow the lower highs of each downward candle afterwards, you only got one right here, which I think this long made sense. You know, you came right back to the bands on the daily. This was the last higher low, so this was a pretty great place to make a new higher low. So I could see a long there. I didn't, and I was getting nervous that I didn't, but I didn't at the time, and it just rolled over. But I think this was a good place to add a long, stop a little low. If it fails, you're out, and then it fails. This was the next place to add because, again, following these lower highs of each candle, we did not have any sort of setup until, boom, this is the first bullish engulfing since this candle. All right, so that's a month and a half, no bullish movement until there. Line that up with the retrace to pi, our retrace to our weekly support levels, and our retrace to the monthly 8. Also line up, what's even crazier for some of you guys who care about it, look at the USD chart. I mean, that's just sex. You know, that was, I hate to use bad words. Someone asked me not to be profane, and sex is kind of profane. Anyways, this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was like 9 months of consolidation inside this range. And we broke out. Again, I sold most of my stuff in here. We retested the range. We actually closed below it, but now we've closed back above it. So I don't know. This looks very attractive from a USD standpoint and from a BTC standpoint. So I think you want to be buying dips on Tezos. Now, most of this has just been the facts, but if we're talking purely speculation here, this is the all-time high for Tezos against the dollar. $2. If we break that, this shit is probably going to, oh, sorry, pardon my language. This stuff is probably going to just tear face. You know, I don't have a single target until 270. And you could go as high as $6. I think, I don't know. Say it's been a long time since we saw crazy moves in crypto. So a lot of people just, they don't get it that this kind of stuff is possible. But I'm thinking $4 to $5 by the next few months. And then, you know, not to be like super moon boy, but this thing could easily be double digits by the end of the year. I'm expecting 2020 to be absolutely wild. So yeah, I think Tezos could be $10 plus end of the year, $4 to $5 by, you know, the next few months. Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite projects right now in crypto because it's in at least some sort of a long-term uptrend versus what does everything else look like in crypto right now? Long-term downtrends. All of our weekly bands are against us. We're trending below the 8 on the monthly for all these coins. They're just horrendous. Now, the only reason they're not completely horrendous is because people think we are set. And honestly, things look pretty fucking, sorry, a really bad habit on the swearing. Things do look really good. You know, you've spent 2 years fully retracing some of the craziest pumps in human history. And yeah, I mean, that looks good just in that regard. You know, of course, let's zoom in. This is very clearly a long-term downtrend. But, you know, just from the lows, look at that. That's 100%. That's 100%. You know? So keep in mind, you know, either these will never be bullish again and they'll just keep rolling over forever and ever. But if they ever break them, just to resistance is 400%. Imagine, you know, rallying to the bearish 200. That's 1,500% for a bearish retest to this support. Like, huh? That's crazy. But you're kind of relying on something going stupid. So I have some trades like that. Engine, for example, you know, this is just market cycles at work. And if these are going to go again, and if we're going to run off these same levels, you know, look at this. Move to pi, move to the 200, and rip. Consolidation, move to pi, move to the 200, maybe it rips. So, you know, I've got some coins I'm trading like this. Engine, Neo, XMR, you know, this stuff is just wrecked. But look at the volume coming down on something like XMR. Like this could be huge if they're long-term breakouts, kind of like Dash. But if not, everything's just going to roll over. And this is the same as back here. And we're about to enter long-term downtrends. So, not enter, but we're about to continue the long-term downtrends we're already in. So I don't really like getting super long on alts right at resistance. That's why I'm buying. My heaviest position is Chainlink, because Chainlink is one of the only assets in crypto that's in a long-term uptrend right now. Look at the 8 on the monthly. The 8 is rising. Our direction of our trend is up. And not only is our direction of our trend up, but every time we retest the 8, we're holding it. And so that's just, you know, that's everything you could ask for in a strong uptrend. And now it looks like we're even kind of cup and handling. Not that I like to use those kind of classic charting patterns that often, but it looks like we're cup and handling right into the highs, you know? We've got the monthly cycle rising. We've got the weekly cycle just crossed back up. I mean, guys, this is just beautiful. I've pointed this out every time we've done this. Unfortunately, I have not traded Chainlink well at all. At least not the last 2 runs. This run up I did, and this run down I did. But back here, I was just kind of like, I don't remember what it was. I was too nervous or something, or too hesitant. I don't know. But, you know, this has just been the most beautiful cycle lows, right at the bands, right with the cycle low. You know, you get the perfect setup. I'm telling you guys, look at this. This was pi. Exactly. Like here, it was almost exactly pi. You almost had the full retrace. But down here, it was literally the bottom to the T. Like, you cannot make that up. You ran all the stops from this level just to test pi and rocket right off of it. I think I missed that rocket, and that's why I didn't enter. I second-guessed myself. But that was just the start, you know? If a big move up, a cycle back, a breakout, and then the real rallies. And I think we are back at that same kind of idea here where you've come up massively, you retrace back to the 200, now you've broken out, maybe we retrace once. But this just looks absolutely awesome. You know, we've got a long weekly cycle to go. You can see when the weekly crosses is usually after the top is in. Right here. So I think we've got plenty of room to keep rallying into Q2 of this year on Chainlink. So let me tell you how I have played it for those of you that care, for those of you that want to play it themselves. But I was short actually back here. And it's funny, my entry into Chainlink was an accident on the long side, but I'll go over that. I was short in here, covered the lows, and then I was using a rising or a lowering stop loss. And I got stopped out on the rest when we got the bullish engulfing here. And then we went right to pi on the 4-hour, classic cycle. We see this on Chainlink all the time. It loves pi on the 4-hour, just like it loves pi on the daily. Look at that, another perfect example of pi holding for the 4-hour. You can't make this up, guys. Everyone's got the 200 on their chart. So that's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But nobody's got pi. That's just holding because math works. But anyways, yeah, I missed that short at pi on the 4-hour though. I was convinced that this was the start of a new. That this was the start. Oh my gosh, I can't draw. I was convinced that this was the start of like a new uptrend. That was the breakout, make a higher low, and rip, kind of like now. But it turned out it wasn't. So I flipped short after this little higher low broke, and I was just trailing my stop. And then I actually manually stopped out on the lows, my short, in profits. But I forgot to take away my trailing stop. And so while I was already flat, I rebought like 9,000 Chainlink. And so I was like, well, I guess I'm long. And I was about to stop out until I reevaluated. And I was like, wait, this looks great. And so I kept that long. So I'm long from basically the low. And then I came in and added at 27.7 on this dip. And I added again up here on this dip. And so all in all, my average cost is somewhere in here. I think Chainlink is the best looking chart in crypto right now. Again, if you were in take profit territory, we're right into the last lower high. If this is going to V bottom only to dump, kind of like we saw over here, V bottom, run to the last lower high, fail to breach it, and dump. Well, then I'll be looking to go short once it breaks down. But for now, I just want to be adding on these dips. Okay, and that's my favorite altcoin position at all right now. So long Chainlink dips, guys. Long Tezos dips, because this is hot. Maybe Neo. Only if Neo can break pi here are we going to get any kind of big reaction. Engine's more risky because it's a mid cap. If Bitcoin rips, it's probably not going to rip. Likewise, if XRP, Ethereum, EOS, Bcash, Litecoin, if those rip, this is probably not going to rip. You know, if high caps rip, if Bitcoin rips, that's where the money will be. If Bitcoin starts to dump, money's probably going to want to go into cash. So it's probably not going to rip. I'm really just betting on this cycle repeating the same way it did last February, this February. So got some Engine, got some Neo. I got a big position in Tezos, a really big position in Link. And if all these get stopped out, I'll just go back to being 100% long Bitcoin minus the small losses from the altcoins. So again, guys, I could talk for another hour probably. I try not to make these YouTube videos too long, but I haven't spoken to you guys in a while. So just wanted to make sure we're all still doing well. And if you guys are not on the same page and you want to be on the same page as us, and if you like this video, if you've been here watching all the way until the end, I know you're going to fit in perfectly with our other 320 traders and investors who are already enrolled in the academy. So if you guys want to speak more, if you want to talk more in depthly, if you want to just see what we're up to, come join us in the chat. Head over to bosscrypto.co or just click the link in the description and we can chat there. I look forward to seeing you guys there. I hope you all have a wonderful end to January, and I'll talk to you guys next week in a new video. Take care.